Hi guys, Debbie here. Welcome to my channel and to today's video. So I need to thank one of you guys, one of my regular subscribers, for the idea for this video, because I'm kind of thinking what am I going to film for this week, and then this comment popped up saying that you like the way that I do my blush, so thank you, and you like to see some of my blushes. And I've done a blush and highlight collection video before, but my taste has changed a little bit and I think I've brought some more things into my collection. So I thought it might be fun to show you my 10 favourites of the moment. I'm not going to do them in a ranking order because I like them all for different reasons and they're all different shades, so it's not like I like one above the other necessarily. So I'm just going to show you some of my favourites at the moment, and then at the end of the video I'm going to apply one of them because I've got no blush on currently. And I've just finished doing my makeup, I didn't film it. And you know how annoying it is when you've done a look that you really like and you wish you'd have filmed it? Well, that's it today. You probably don't know if you don't have a channel, but that's what's happened to me today. So I just thought, oh, I'll just put a quick neutral eye look on so that whatever blush I choose to wear at the end of the video is going to look okay. And then I just started to play with this palette and I really enjoyed playing with it. So it's the Too Faced Sparkling Pineapple palette, which I've got on my eyes right now, and it's not a new release or anything. I've had this one for a long time, never used it on camera, but that's the shades inside. But just thought I'd give it a shout out before we start this video, because that shade there is what I've got on my lids, topped with just that bit in the centre. I'll come in a little bit, you can see. It's just super pretty, so I'm going to be reaching for this more. This is like a neutral palette with a little pop of interest in it, and that's my kind of neutral palette. So yeah, I really enjoyed playing with this and making a look. Just sad I didn't film it now. And my lips today are an old favourite, which is Gothica by Kat Von D. And I love this because it's like that rusty sort of shade, but it's got like little particles of glitter. You can't feel them, you know, but they just look like sparkly rather than it being a metallic lipstick. So it's a little bit special. But on to what the purpose of today's video is then. So I'm going to show you some of the blushes that are well loved in my collection, as I say, in no particular order. So I've got quite an old product shade, but I do believe this is still available actually, which is a palette. So some of my favourites are in palettes, and it's actually a highlight palette, but I use this as a blush. And it's the Sin Afterglow palette by Urban Decay. I've seen this on sale for like £15 in the UK, and if you see it for that price, snap it up because it's so good. But the shade I reach for in here is Kiss Off, because I don't have too many pink blushes and I don't like my pinks to be like too candy pink. So it's pink, but it's got like enough neutral about it to sort of not look too scary for me. Also reach into this for Sin, which is an amazing highlight as well. But that's the reason why this is in this video, is for the shade Kiss Off. Staying with pink blushes, when I was on the hunt for some more pink blushes and didn't want to spend too much on blush, I'm more of an eyeshadow lover in terms of my expenditure on makeup, but I've started getting into blush a lot more lately. And I picked this up from Revolution, and this is the Sugar and Spice palette, and it was £6, and oh my god, it is so good for the money. The only thing I find when you buy a drugstore blush is that it's a little bit too pigmented, so you have to be really careful to use a light hand, otherwise, you know, clown cheeks will happen really fast and you won't be able to blend it out. But every one of these shades is super pretty. There's some neutrals in there, which I like. I like sort of more the peachy toned ones in here. I bought it because of these two pinks. These are a bit too dark for me. But if I layer these two shades over the top of any of these, I can make it work. And they give it sort of that sheen, which for me, I really like a glowy blush. I do like matte blushes, but I do really enjoy a glowy blush. So for that reason, this one's in here. Talking of glowy blushes, couldn't talk about a glowy blush without mentioning this one, and this one's the shade Telling Glow by MAC. It's one of their extra dimension blushes. It's the only one I've got in single format, but this is my summer blush. If I've got a little bit of colour, and I probably won't need to use bronzer then, and I'll just use this as almost like where I've got my contour and bronze now, to like chisel out my face a little bit, but it's got that sheen to it. Just makes you ultra glowy, so even if you don't wear foundation, you've still got that sort of really nice finish to your skin, and it looks like you've made an effort as such. So for an evening out in the summer, this one's my favourite. Whilst we're on the subject of MAC, I have to mention this palette. It's no longer available, but it's the Star Dip Face Compact. Picked it up in the holidays 2019. And the reason I love this so much is that blush shade there. That is absolutely stunning. I don't know if it's possible to get it in a single, and if it is, totally recommend it. That might be the one I put on my face at the end of this video actually to show you, because it is just so pretty. Love all of the shades in this compact, and it works really well on my pale skin, but I also think those two blushes would work quite well on medium skin tone as well, maybe not so much a deep skin tone. Something that would work really well on deep skin tones though, but I can make work for me if I use it really sheer, and I think that's the benefit of blush. You can put it on and you can sheer it out, and you can maybe pack some translucent powder over the top, and that tends to dampen things down a little bit. But I think just going in with a different brush, like I'll link the video I filmed yesterday if you've not seen it, where I used a really fluffy, not even fluffy, kind of a bit more looser packed brush, which is the Spotlight Duster by Sigma, to apply my bronzer, because it really dissipates the colour more. So I think you can get away with these deeper blushes if you do that. And the one I'm talking about here is Serafina by Juvia's Place. It's a fairly new addition to my blush collection. Picked it up in the sale just to reach the shipping limit, and I'm so glad that I did. So that's the colour. Looks super deep against my skin. But as I say, if you go in with a light hand and with a bit of a looser, not so much dense brush, then you can really get this to work. I think it would work on everyone's skin tones, and it really just lights up your face. It's just beautiful. And I like how you can get a nice big brush into this as well. It's just the perfect size to be able to go in light-handed, but with a nice fluffy brush. So really loving that, totally recommend it. One packaging that I'm not so much of a fan of though, but I love the blush, is the Benefit California blush. This is a ride or die for me. I think I'll always have this in my collection. First of all, just love the artwork on the packaging, and I don't mind the box packaging. You just can't get your brush in it. That's the problem that you have. So I use quite big blush brushes, and I do struggle to get my brush into them. So that's the colour. It had a gold overspray, which I'm not a fan of. I don't see the point of really. And I'd say actually this one, when you look at it, is fairly similar to the colour of Serafina. But let's hold those up together. So that's the two side by side. I think they're similar in tone. Just stuck my finger in that one picking it up, so that's not good. I hate doing that to my makeup, but there's the two together, and I think you will agree they're similar in tone. I think that one's got a bit more sort of pinkiness to it than this one, but really both beautiful shades, and particularly on my skin tone, I just think the peachy shades really suit me. And I would say California is my one that I use for travel most of all, because it's easy to just bang into your makeup bag or in like a corner of your case because of that little box packaging. So kind of a love-hate relationship with the box packaging, but really good product. Okay, next up we've got a blush trio from Anastasia. This one's in the shade Peachy Love. And again, you can see my preference for blush because there's a lot of peachy orangey shades. I love this shade though because it's a little bit more neutral. If you're not sure what to wear with an eye look and you don't want to go too peach or too pink, that colour really has you covered. That one more so for like more summery looks. That one's quite intense, but I can make it work, as I say, by shearing it out. But it's this colour that I come back to this palette for because of the fact that it's fairly neutral in tone and will go with everything. And that one I picked up in TK Maxx for £15. They're normally £30 I think, but got it for a bargain price, so what's not to love about that? Talking of a bargain, there's another one that I could recommend that's in the more affordable range, and this is by BH Cosmetics. I've got the shade Fiji Fern. I think these are about £6, £6.50, something like that. They were available on Beauty Bay, that's where I got mine. Again, it's in the very pigmented blush category, and there's kind of two colours in there, so you can mix it together or go in either side. I never really like that too much because that side, for example, you're not going to get a brush into that to just use it on its own very easily, so I just swirl the whole thing. But it is pretty powdery and very pigmented, but I like it because it's more in that mauvey sort of blush category. You know, I don't have too many of that kind of colour, and I'd love to get a more sort of purpley toned blush. That's the next purchase I want to make actually for blush, but this one has me covered for more that mauvey kind of tone. So, and super affordable, and as I say, as long as you're aware that it is quite powdery and very pigmented and just tap your brush off well, it is really pretty and it lasts very well. Okay, getting down to the last couple now that I want to show you. I had 10 in my sort of ones that I use the most. Don't have too many blushes, I don't have too many more than this anyway. This one's one of the Fruit Cocktail blush duos from Too Faced, and it's in the shade Strawberry. Now this one's quite special because you can get your brush into either side. You've got a super pink one and you've got a peach one. The peach one's got a bit of sparkle, and you won't like it if you don't like glitter in your products, because there is a little bit of glitter in there. But you can buff both of these together. But I like this one kind of almost like as a blush topper if I've worn something else that's a bit more orangey, so like the California for example, just to top it off to give it a little bit of sheen. Works very well on its own, and it looks quite neutral if you just use this shade. When you mix them together you'll get quite an intense blush, but really sheeny and pretty, which is what I prefer. And I just love the packaging on these Too Faced kind of fruit collection blushes and eyeshadow palettes. Super pretty. Okay, we're coming to one of my absolute favourite palettes in my collection now, and I like pretty much all the blushes in this palette. It's by NARS, it's a Narcissist palette. I hate trying to get this palette open. I don't know what was going on with the packaging. I've got it open already so I don't struggle on camera to get it open, because the clasp on it is just like so difficult to undo, but the shades inside are amazing. So I bought the one that's probably meant for deeper skin tones, and the reason I wanted it was this red. And red blush should not be underestimated. Red blush is so pretty. If I'm doing a red eye look, then red blush will be what I'll choose to go with that. It gives you that sort of Snow White vibes. It's so pretty. But there's a couple of neutrally blushes in here that work okay. If I'm doing a burgundy eye look, I'll use this one. So they look scary, but the good thing about NARS blushes is they're not too pigmented. So I've got NARS Orgasm for example, and it's not one of my favourites because that is quite hard pressed in the pan I find, and I don't get much payoff at all from that. These are just a matte formula, whereas that one has got some like grit to it, which I don't like. But these are matte, but they are so pretty. All of the shades work, and they're just so... Don't think this is available anymore, but I don't know if they do any of these as singles. But I think if you're... whatever skin tone you've got, I was going to say if you're super pale like me, then red blush works really well, but I think it would work on everybody, and I think people are perhaps scared to try it. But next time you do a red eye look, definitely give it a go. Obviously don't go with a big stripe of it, you know, it's just like a little bit on your cheeks, but it just looks so pretty. So that's pretty much my countdown. So as I say, I think I'm going to finish off my look with this one, and I'm going to use the 310 from Linda Hallberg. This is one of my favourite brushes for blush because it is super fluffy, not too dense. And I just literally tap to my blush, I don't go too crazy. And then I just apply it sort of where my highlight stops, but just above where my bronze and contour is. So like the smile part of your cheeks really. Because if you're going to flush, that will be where you flush up, I think. Unless I'm using my bronzer as contour, which I do sometimes do because I'm an 80s girl and that's what we did. We didn't have all these products and we used that as contour. But it's quite subtle, but it's super pretty. And then when I've applied it, I always make sure that I buff my face to kind of stop things looking quite so harsh. So I just take a nice big fluffy brush. And that's the only reason I use these big powder brushes, because they're way too big for powder in my eyes, because I like to get my powder application where I want it. But I find a brush like this one's by Spectrum, but any of these big fluffy brushes like this just help to buff and blend everything in. So that's my blush collection, or the favourites within it. So hope you enjoyed seeing it, and if you've got any blush recommendations for me, particularly in the sort of mauvey blush category, sort of more on the purple and cool tone side, because I do wear a lot of purple eye looks and I'll use a neutral blush pretty much with those at the moment, but I'd love to get a more purpley tone blush. So if you guys have got any recommendations, I'd love to see them down in the comments. And just what are your favourites in general? Let's just chat about it because I'd love to know. But thank you so much for watching. And if you're new to my channel, I'd love it if you would consider subscribing before you go. But have a lovely day or night, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.